crank the timer. Start doing the reps. 1 a day, 2 a day, 3 a day, 4 a day, 5 a day, 6 a day, 10 a day, every single day. You're like, wait, that's 40 messages that are personalized and 10 cover letters. Yep, that'll probably take about 4 hours. And then what do you do tomorrow? Set the timer, you do it again. Next day, you set the timer, you do it again. What do you do the next day? You set the timer, you do it fucking again. And you keep doing it. And on the ones that you really, really like, you drive over there after you get off your shift, you stop by and just say, hey, I'm Avante. I'm really excited about the opportunity. I think I can help. I applied. You got a couple messages from me. I promise I'm not a weirdo. I just did it because I wanted to stick out from the rest of the pile. Because I know you guys, I'm sure, for an opportunity as good as this, you probably got a lot of people who are interested. I just will promise you that I just want a shot. You say that, they will give you the interview. And if they don't, someone will. And once you do get that job and you work harder than everyone else, you turn the dial, and you don't do it for a week. You don't work harder than everyone else for a week. You don't work harder than them for a month. You don't work harder than them for 6 months. You work harder than the top guy for a year, for 2 years. And you're like, well, shit, dude, I'm already like 2 or 3 years from now. Yeah, I said it was a season. But on the other side of this season is everything else that you want. And so if I said, Avante, in 36 months, are you willing to give me 36 months to get yourself out of the feeling that you have right now? You're like, I'm sick and tired of being poor. I'm sick of not being able to buy the stuff for my girl that I want. I'm sick of not being able to provide for my kid. I want him to be in a good zip code. I want him to be able to have good school. I want him to be able to have these things. There's a price tag on that. The question is just whether or not you're willing to pay it. If you're willing to pay it, crank the dial, and volume will negate luck, but you can't rely on luck. You can rely on volume, because that, I promise you, independent of race, color, socioeconomic background. You're like, wait, some races or socioeconomic backgrounds or how someone appears gives them an advantage. Sure, but if you do it 1,000,000 times, does it give an advantage? Because you only need one, yes. If there's like a lesson I can like have you like etch into your brain, is that there's a significant amount of money and opportunity that sits on the other side of being willing to be rejected by a stranger. If you get rejected 1,000 times, you are no worse off than you are right now. In fact, you're better. Why? Because you have 1,000 times experience. And so you either learn or you win, which means in both cases, by doing, you win by default. I'll give you a little analogy. So let's say you and your buddy are thinking about asking a girl to prom. It'll make sense in a second. And your buddy's like, man, I want to ask Nicole. And you're like, all right, man, why don't you go ask her? It's like, what if she says no? He's like, well, then you're in the exact same position you are now, which is you have no prom date. You will also have no prom date, but you'll have experience of asking one girl. What happens when you talk to the next girl? You'll probably be a little less nervous, and you'll probably realize that you'll survive. You will live if you hear a no. And if you ask 100 girls, do you think one of them will say yes to your prom date? Probably. And in that situation, what are you now? Better off than you were before you asked. The moral of the story there is that you lose nothing from no. You only stand something to gain from yeses. And one yes can change your entire life. And so if you're willing to be rejected and see the rejections as you learning, meaning you win, and see the yeses as you also winning, then you can't lose. And everybody else around you who's poor is going to convince you otherwise. They're going to be like, why are you still doing this? Man, stop bothering those people. Man, you're never going to get the job. Man, you need to readjust your expectations. Set your goals lower. Hey, that stuff's not for us, right? They're going to tell you those things. Because the thing is that you have something that I do not have and that many people won't have, is that you have a hard fucking beginning. You have a harder and bigger monster to slay. But the bigger the monster, the more epic the hero. And so these are the stories that you're going to someday tell. And these are going to be the sermons that you're going to be able to give to other Avantes in the future. If you can't even muster the willingness to fail for yourself, be willing to fail for your kid, for the story that you're going to tell them. And be willing to fail for the 1,000 other Avantes that you'll be able to someday tell your story to, so they can get out of their situation. So I didn't have time to say that, but hopefully I give you a couple more minutes that give you a little more context.